Pecha Kucha 183, so I got furloughed. So it's not that I want to talk about the coronavirus or anything, but let's be honest, everybody's having a large impact as a result of it. So I have an office job. We've been working from home for a while. They can't really afford to keep the staff on, so they've offered to put me on this furlough thing. Effectively, the government will pay me for me to not have a job but not lose my job. The idea is when the crisis passes, I go back to work like nothing ever happened. I strongly suspect it will more be like I won't be going back to work at all. So the plan from Wednesday, which is Tuesday is my final day, is to try a 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 number of hours per day per week of guaranteed Smiley show or art. So 1 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday, 1 on Friday, that kind of thing. And it's the first week. The idea is every week I add an extra hour to every day. But what I don't want to do is overload myself, like this book I'm reading is talking about, is like pick one goal. And the thing is, I've got all day every day to do whatever I fucking want. And I've been in this position most of my life. How much work do I actually get done? Not an awful lot. So, I mean, this reminds me of 2018. Like a prime example of that was Predator Week, where I spent all week drawing predators, trying to learn Clip Studio Paint, airbrushing, and all kinds of other things, always bouncing from one idea to the other. And what I really want to try and do this year is bank the Smiley Show as a daily activity. So I basically produce, so I can, base a Patreon on that. I've let my queue on Tumblr dwindle to nothing. I've still got collaborative comics and old artwork, including Predator Week, to post on there, because I think a lot of that stuff went unrecorded publicly, which tells you just how productive my 2018 was in a sense. I'm going to tentatively be looking at Andrew Loomis's Drawing the Head and Hands, because portraiture is something I want to focus on. So I really want it to be like, I'm practicing on the side. I'm definitely doing Smiley shows, but I really do need to get a sense of I am improving. But again, it needs to be little, not a lot of nothing. So I've started my first second stage pencils for my Smiley show, and this Smiley show I'm working on is going to be bananas. It's going to be ridiculous. The very first panel is going to be a ridiculous picture of M. Bison descending from the heavens. In my head, it's like Renaissance art, right? And that's what I'll be referencing to do it now. I can't go all in with the idea because I'll never finish the first page of this Smiley show, but the whole idea is if I'm doing 45 minutes a day, banked, I don't have to lose my mind about spending 25 hours committed to making the Bison picture works, because it's just not in the schedule. There's a lot of jokes and a lot of memes in this. So I've got this whole Bison thing planned. There's a One Punch Man joke that's a play on words, which is like it's not a cameo so much as a sketch thing. That's in there. That's not too extreme, but I have the intention of drawing Solid Snake Yoji Shinkawa style, for one panel. Like that's just an easy thing I can do when I just start swishing around with my brush pen like he does with his. This is another thing. I have to time lock it, otherwise I'll never be satisfied with what I get. There's also a Bruce Lee joke in there, and I have every intention of it being a very realistic and accurate depiction of Bruce Lee. Will I trace Bruce Lee? Probably, because if that's what I have to do to get where I'm trying to go. It's also a good opportunity to experiment with how I can composite image portraiture stuff and practice my painting more than actually being accurate. My Bruce Lee joke is tied to Gundams, so I will have to be drawing Gundams as well. It's a lot of throwaway jokes, and it's a lot of effort for a lot of throwaway jokes, so the point is to try and not kill myself while I do this, because this is the kind of thing I could spend the rest of the year on, but it would never be as good as it is in my head. And then halfway through the Smiley show, which is 8 pages through, I realised Solid Snake needs a place to sit. And this starts a long chain of thoughts about the actual Smiley show set, which I've never been shy about saying is basically based, not specifically, but more or less on The Late Show with Dave Letterman. That was the idea of the talk show. That's where it came from. So I'm actually looking at his set where the chairs are in relation to the the host and guest relationship, and also where does Vegeta sit in relation to both of them? Because I want him mostly off shot, but not so far away he's in his own land, or maybe I do. So as I'm penciling the first page, I'm having all these thoughts, and it's like, well, obviously, I'm drawing the set, so I have to figure out how the set looks. I'm not trying to commit to everything all at once. So this is going to be a very strange 15-page Smiley show where this is me trying to figure out an incredible amount about what I do and how I do it. And there's a codec joke where I will be, using the codec for Solid Snake to have a conversation with Otacon, because I'm not intending to calm down with memes on this. If I have a good idea, I will do it. And before I ended the Smiley show, I just ended up throwing in a Li Chao Lan joke from Tekken. So there are a lot of ways I can trip up, and there are a lot of ways with this Smiley show that it can fall apart and never get finished. And it's going to be an interesting test, even at 1 hour a day, to see if I can stick it out. I feel good about it. And also, because it's so long, I'm going to have ad breaks in it, and it will be fake products advertised. One of them will be advertised by Scorpion. He sells Badass Chocolate Chew chocolate bars, which I will have to create the fucking branding for as well, and that's probably going to be the hardest thing of all. Yeah, let's see where we are next week. So Sad Clown of this week is actually... last week I was looking at a lot of pictures of M. Bison, and it occurred to me I actually don't know how to draw M. Bison. Now, part of that I knew, and part of that I didn't. M. Bison's hat is not a normal hat. It's not a normal officer's military hat. The visor is wrong. That's the way Capcom official artists draw it. They draw it flat, as in it's glued to his forehead, which is ridiculous. But that's how it's drawn. I knew that. I just didn't care. His collar, on the other hand, is a collar for his uniform. I've not been drawing that accurately. The way his cape and his shoulder pads look, I haven't been drawing those accurately too, and I didn't realise that until I was looking at about, 50 pictures of M. Bison all at once and noticing there's a couple of things that they all had in common. So yeah, drawing M. Bison accurately is another thing on my list for this 15-page Smiley show, not including the adverts, my fake adverts. I do believe a steady hand will get me through this. I am happy to calm down with a lot of these ambitious ideas to get things moving. This will take me closer to my prescribed number of Smiley shows I have to do before I'm comfortable setting up the Patreon. This will not count as one Smiley show. This will count as at least 3 on my way to 10 in total before I actually push the button. By that time, I think the coronavirus will be a meme, a thing of the past, and something we all chuckle about. At least those of us who actually are fortunate enough to go back to work, still have a job. I don't actually expect to be a part of that group, but never mind. That brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 183. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you next time.